So today we have something slightly more interesting than usual. We have a Lauf, I think it's pronounced. These, you've probably seen these before. This is the leaf spring suspension built into the fork. Now this is an Icelandic company who manufactures in Iceland, and I think they do some manufacturing in the States as well. So I'm really expecting good things from their sort of manufacturing quality of this, but I'm going to try and show you all the close-ups as we go and sort of talk you through the custom build process as well. You see, this customer has invested quite a lot of money into this, getting this fantastic frame set, which is totally the right decision. Always invest in your frame first. And then we're going to talk through some of the build options, definitely around their wheels and tyre choice to get to the bike that they want inside the budget, because definitely this was a big part of their investment. Right, these forks then, let's take a closer look. So I can imagine these are pretty difficult to paint, so I can't really blame them too much, but you can just see where the paint has gone in there. It's not quite hit all the surface underneath, but I don't think that's going to cause a major problem. The actual seats where the axle goes, there's a fair bit of paint for us to remove in here, sadly, which is a bit of a shame, but all the threads are nice and clear. Now the brake dropouts on this are dead interesting because they're quite far recessed into this section here, and there's loads of instructions, which is interesting because it must mean that people have had problems installing these. And it's really talking about how they're set up. So they're set up to run with a 160mm rotor as standard, so you can't put a 140mm rotor in here at all, but you could use the standard adapter that comes with your brakes to make it up to 180mm if you wanted to. And that's all written in this sort of text along here. It's also got the tyre dimensions on here as well, which I do like because it makes it really, really clear whenever you're debating as to what sort of tyre clearance you can get. And it clearly says 700 by 45C or 27.5 inch wheel with a 2.1 inch tyre as well. It's clearly written what that is. What I do like is that all the cable routing is external to the fork. So if you are a gravel rider and you're changing your headset bearings more frequently, you're not routing your cables through your headset, which is nice to see. All this looks really nice and smooth. The bearing seat looks absolutely fantastic. The steerer tube is nice and round, and there's white on the inside. Oh my God, there must be fiberglass or something. Let's not worry about that too much because the rest of it looks absolutely fantastic. The frame then, and this is where I couldn't get any information about where the frames are made, whether they're still made in Ireland or whether they're made somewhere else. It was a little bit vague on their website, I have to say, and looking at the bottom here doesn't tell us any more information. There's no like made in China sticker or made in Iceland sticker anywhere. So if anyone's got any info on that, please let us know. I'll be really, really curious. So this is their True Grit frame. Comes with standard seat posts and standard seat close mounts as well, which is fantastic. You can see the customer is using their existing saddle. That's why it's all a bit beat up and covered in mud. The brake mounts here as well feel perfectly flat, which I really like. This looks like they've been finished after the painting process, which is a massive plus in my book to see that even after it's been painted, someone's not just gone over and looked at the paintwork to see if it's okay, but have actually gone back and looked at the faces to make sure that the paintwork hasn't actually interfered with any of the critical faces. So well done Lauf for doing that. This is a bonded in BSA Bottom Bracket on a 68mm shell, so standard road sizes as well. And the headset is all integrated. And again, you can see that someone has gone in here after the painting process and has actually taken the time to inspect it and resize it after the painting, because you can see where paint has been removed to make that surface nice and smooth and round. Taking a look on the inside here, again, I like to run my finger around carefully because if it's bad, you can see splinters, but just feeling for any sort of rough edges. It feels pretty good. And on the inside, I can't really see any of that sort of tenting that you get where you see the resin accumulate after it's been in with the plastic bags. It all looks very, very smooth in there. So taking a look down the seat post, this all looks neatly finished as well. You can see where paint has been removed afterwards, and it's nowhere near as perfect as the look is. Like the look feels like someone's actually been inside and cleaned it. This looks just like it's just been finished a bit better. So it's I definitely don't have any concerns about it at all. Outside of the initial visual inspection, it all looks pretty good. There's loads of bottle cage mounts underneath, on the down tube, on the seat tube. There's even this cool little bottle opener where the front mech could be if you wanted a front mech I think it tells you what gravel riders think of front mechs these days. Right, I'm slightly confused about the cable routing on this. You see, there's a brake routing here, which runs all the way down, but there's no access point to get this out to the brake hose. So I think this is going to be an absolute pain to route. There's also routing here for, I think, the rear derailleur, which is going to come out here. Again, this is going to be an absolute pain to route because there is no access around the bottom bracket at all. I am not looking forward to that. But there is no cable at all for the front derailleur. So even though they've got some kind of mounting system here, there is no way to run a cable operated, at least, front derailleur, which is odd because when you look at all the parts that they give you for this, there's nothing here to blank this off as if you were running a wireless system. Okay, I think we need to get cracking because this cable routing is going to take a while. Just taking a look down here with the borescope. That is really lovely and clean in there. There's no obvious ridges or wrinkles at all. That looks really, really nice. And these actually look like they're fully routed. So I might have to take back what I said about the cable routing because this might actually be routed all the way. That would be absolute dreams if it is. Just coming in here at the rear, and this is like our worst nightmare. It's not a very big hole and you see all this mess. This is what makes internal routing really hard when there's so many obstacles on the inside. So where we are now, this is the inside of the chainstay right the way down here. And again, the quality of this looks absolutely fantastic. Nice and smooth. Coming in here, we should just see, yeah, there's the bottom bracket shell. And you can just see all of that glue where that's been bonded in. So it looks like it's got fairly good coverage. That blob of glue you can see in the middle is obviously as they've tried to press this into the frame. Oh, it's lovely and clean in there. It might not look it, but I promise you I've seen a whole lot worse. And that little tube you can just see at the bottom here, I strongly suspect that is the cable guide for the rear brake hose. I hope it is, because that will make things a bit easier. Okay, for the rest of the build, the customer has chosen these aluminium DT Swiss wheels. I think he had these from a previous bike and just needs to roll these over. Fitted some standard 160mm rotors, but we have gone, after a lot of talking actually about the tyre choice, we've gone for the Pirelli Cinturato Gravel S. This is their new one for more softer ground because the sort of the riding we do here can be more muddy than it is gravel. On the back, to keep the rolling resistance down, we've gone for the hard compound, and actually this does hook up reasonably well actually in softer conditions when you've got a bit of weight on there especially. So we're pretty happy with that combination. Good speed, but when we do hit sort of the wet stuff, we've still got some reinsurance in our steering. Setting these up tubeless, of course, 160mm rotor on the back. Decision we do have to make is the wheels currently have a Shimano Hyperglide. Now this uses the DT Swiss pool system. You find this on their OEM hubs rather than their sort of 350, 240s, the ones that you buy aftermarket, which have the ratchet. But you can still buy these free hubs. In fact, we have, because I can't make my mind up what gear ratios to run. You see, we planned this build before SRAM came out with the Apex upgrade. So now we have a decision to make. We could switch that free hub out to this little SRAM XDR with the pulls on the back. And then we've got the option of running a standard SRAM cassette, which was our original plan, to be fair. This was the original plan, to go for the SRAM Rival, the 10 through to 44, just like that. We've seen these before. This does give us the benefit of that little 10 tooth, which is quite handy actually, especially if you're sort of covering a bit of speed. It kind of improves your range quite a bit. Or now, with the latest SRAM Apex upgrade, we can now get that 44 tooth, but we miss out on the little 10 tooth, but we can fit this to a standard Shimano Hyperglide free hub. So decisions, I think, since we've got the free hub now, we're going to go for the 10 through to 44 and give this customer a bit more of a gear ratio, because this is going to be a fast sort of performance racing gravel bike. So I think you'll probably appreciate that higher gear. Okay, let's get cracking. One last thing actually, we also got the Lauf Smoothie bar. This is a handlebar that they've spent quite a lot of time developing. There's actually quite a lot of information on their website about this handlebar. I do like the shape actually. The shape of it comes in quite narrow here, but such a big flare. So it's not just, it's straight here like normally bars, but it's actually angled this part in and flared this part out, which is a really interesting way to approach handlebar. They've got this what they call smooth zone, so I'm expecting this to be a nice transition into the lever and this part to be really, really comfortable to hold. So yeah, this is 42 wide here with a reach of 80 millimeters, but the drop is still a standard 125. So I think this is going to be quite a comfortable position, as is that. I kind of get that. So I'm liking this shape. Let's see how it looks on the bike. Let's thread this through. Now, when you cut these, I like to put a little bit of like rolled up blue roll in the end, because they can flick and sort of flick dot fluid around at you. So it's just nice to sort of block off the end, but you can't really put a cap on it because then you won't get it through the tubing. So I find a little bit of blue roll is all we need. Oh, it's going to go all the way through. Absolute dreams. That has probably saved a significant amount of work time. And well done SRAM for providing a variety of different bolts to cope with a variety of different frame thicknesses. If that was Shimano, you'd have to go on and find the right bolt length and then order the bolt lengths in separately. But SRAM happily provide them. Fork in, customer has asked us not to cut the steerer because they're not quite sure where and they want to fit bar bags and all that sort of stuff. So little plug for our new grease applicators to show you how easy it is just to get grease on things nice and easy. There's no smearing this with your fingers or pot. So I like to get this part done, get the lower bearing on and then coat this one with grease. What we're trying to do with this is really just to create a waterproof barrier and a corrosion barrier, because obviously things corrode against carbon fibre, so we're just trying to create a bit of a barrier, and this does it nice and neatly without loads of grease. If you put too much grease in, all you do is end up having somewhere that's going to accumulate dirt and you end up with like turning your entire headset into like grinding paste almost. So all you need is enough to sort of think about keeping the water out more than anything else. So that done, this way you can keep everything really nice and clean. You don't have to touch anything again with your hands and get grease anywhere. So this just goes on, compression ring. Remember, we're just going for light assembly at the moment, so don't over torque anything at this point. This is just enough to hold everything together. We do all the final assembly once it's on its wheels, and we can go around, check alignment, and then we do things up. Coming together, let's get some levers bolted onto this, and then we can start positioning where we want things. So the first thing I want to do is rotate these down to the point where this part here is flat, but also this part here is flat as well. So we want to be able, the rider to be able to sort of ride in a nice sort of steady position here. If it's rotated too far, you put a kink into your wrist. I mean, this is all personal preference, but we're going to start about here and see how this looks. We're looking for this part here to be virtually horizontal to the ground. Again, this is just early construction, so everything is super loose. In fact, these little tools, I don't like using them for anything where I need to put some torque on, but for just quick assembly work where you're switching between a 4 and a 5 and a 6, these are quite handy. And then we want to position our levers so that we have a nice smooth transition from here onto the hoods. And I like to follow the line, and because these are kinked in slightly, we're just going to follow that line. I'm going to want that about there. One nice little thing about SRAM brakes is they actually come out like this, so when you need to undo them, you can actually get access to this stealth jig here and undo them. The Shimano ones are all very fixed, so you sometimes have to loosen that bolt and sort of ruin your position so you can get onto that bolt, whereas the SRAM one is quite nice. You can just get access to that easily. So we're going to be fitting this BSA bottom bracket. It's always worth checking the SRAM Road Crankset Bottom Bracket Spacers Guide, and we are fitting to a BSA, and we know this is a 68mm shell, and we need to be fitting a SRAM Dub wide crankset, which is wider than normal to accommodate the tyre clearance you need on gravel bikes. And this tells you we need a 2.5mm spacer on the left hand side and a 5.5mm on the outside, but no inner spacers. So these ones here, we don't need, we just need these ones. Luckily, everything comes in the box, and now we know how to fit it right. Before we pop these in, we need to make sure that this face here has got good contact with the frame, and see where this has been faced. We don't want any paint. So this is right on the limit between the contact area here and the contact area here. I don't particularly want to face this, because if I do, it will take off loads and loads of paint. So I think we're close enough to get away with it. This is a bit of assembly grease, a bit of calcium sulfonate, so you can be fairly liberal with this. And if the threads are good, these should go in hand. That's when you know you've got a good bottom bracket, because it should just screw in by hand. Look at that, good work, Lauf. Didn't have to do any chasing, any facing, straight in. 50 Newton meters on those. So going back to the spacers, those are the inner spacers, don't need those. We need the 5.5mm and we need the 2.5mm. That one and that one. So with these as well, remember there's a tiny little groove, and that groove interacts with the groove on here. So you need to make sure that these go around the right way as well. Kind of clicks into place, but held into place really when you screw these on. So these need 54 Newton meters. So let's bring that up another 4. Dreams. And with this, we've got one more tiny little step. Just bring that preload bolt up just until we're touching. We're taking out any lateral play, still got good rotation, and that bolt, carefully bring that up. Does not need to be very tight. And we're done. Here we go then, project complete, and doesn't it look absolutely amazing? As the bike is right now without any pedals, that is 9.5 kilos. Beautifully light, sort of racing performance gravel bike. Just to run you through the build very quickly, these are the customer's own aluminium wheels. We've wrapped these up with a fast rolling, this is the hard compound Pirelli on the back, a 40 wide, so there's loads and loads of grip there, but also nice and fast running on the sort of the tarmac sections. And we've gone for the soft on the front because it's quite muddy where we are, so having a bit more reassurance on the front wheel, exactly what we wanted. Remember, this fork has 30mm of travel built in, and you can push down on these and you can really feel how that suspension works. It's different from normal flex, it's linear, and when you actually grab the front wheel, you can tell that the steering is nice and stiff. It's not just a flexy fork. These bars are dead interesting. They've got this kind of, they come back at an angle at you. So rather than just having a 90-degree bend here, it almost comes back in, which means that this flare isn't such a big jump from down here. I do quite like it. I'd like to ride it and sort of get to know how it works. But my initial sort of holding it here and moving my hand around, I like this handlebar position. There's loads of room on the tops. It almost feels like a mountain bike, you know, type of width up here, which I think is what the rider was really going for. So gearing wise, gone for quite traditional gravel gearing. This is a 40-tooth chainring up at the front on 165mm cranks. Quite short because it's quite rocky around here. We don't want our cranks to hit rocks. And going from a 10 through to 44 cassette. The disc rotors we just kept at a standard 160, even though we could have easily gone to 180mm rotors if we really wanted to. So what do we think? Personally, I think that is an absolutely cracking, sort of very versatile gravel bike. So only one thing remains. It's a test its key feature.